Hey, it's Gimped Jesus here, making one final video on my Hearthstone adventure. Uh, I've made 21 episodes now. This little ending one will be 22 episodes. I started this channel, and I started, learning Hearthstone mostly so I could learn about live streaming. I also wanted to learn how to play Hearthstone. I've played a lot of video games over the years. Started out with an Atari years and years and years ago, and still play a lot of video games now. Hearthstone to me isn't really a video game. It's a card game that's played on a computer, but it is more of a card game in the same respects as Magic and that sort of thing. Stuff that I've never really been interested in. And although I really did want to learn it, the more I got into it, the more I decided that it really isn't the type of game that I enjoy or that I like to play. I did have fun making the live streams. I did have fun making the videos. And Gimped Jesus is still going to do stuff. He's going to move on to a couple other things, and I'm still going to be doing the streaming. Again, like I said, one of the big reasons I did this was to learn about live streaming. I don't really care that much whether I gather any audience or not. It was more for making the stream, learning about the software, what kind of hardware it takes, how to add some production values, how to properly balance out a green screen, and that sort of thing. And in that respect, I was very, very successful. It's easy to put a live stream together. You can do it, no problem. You can do it on the cheap. I didn't spend a lot of money setting this up, but there are a few things you can learn, to make your live stream a little bit more watchable, and and you do need a certain amount of hardware. You got to throw a fair amount of hardware on it. I figured out how to do a 2-camera shot, just using webcams. That is not as easy as it sounds. But it's very doable, and I did accomplish that. And again, I had a lot of fun in the process, and I did enjoy learning Hearthstone. I learned the mechanics of the game. I saw how it worked, but it became very apparent to me that it was not something I was going to get very good at. I have a lot of respect for people that do play Hearthstone. I watch their videos. It's amazing to watch them, and I'll probably watch them in the future, on YouTube and on Twitch. But it was never my intention to get that good or make a channel where people would want to come and watch me play Hearthstone. My whole thing was more to document it, Like I've got these 21 videos made, and 10 or 15 years down the road, I can look at them and laugh and see, oh, here's the old man trying to learn how to play Hearthstone. Same thing as, previous generations, they made, Polaroids and photographs, and they put them in albums, and they drag them out 20 or 30 years later, and they look at them and have a good laugh or a good chuckle. And that's what I like about the live streaming. It's kind of fun. You put something out there. It doesn't matter whether you garner an audience or not. It's, you're putting something out there. Maybe somebody watches it. Maybe nobody watches it. But the nice thing about YouTube is you do get a video out of it. It's unscripted. You don't have to edit. I encourage people not to edit them. Put those videos up there, warts and all, so that you can go back and look at it and years from now and have yourself a good chuckle. It's easy to live stream. It anybody can do it. You can buy a handful of daylight light emitting LED light bulbs is what I suggest. They're cooler. They use less power. They make a lot of light, and they make just the right hue of light for working with a green screen. So, get yourself a good camera, get a 1080p camera, learn about live streaming, take the tutorials. Just because you got a 1080p camera doesn't mean you have to use it at 1080p. Doesn't mean you need to use it at 1080p. Learn the limitations of your hardware. When you're running a couple of cameras, that takes up CPU cycles. When you're running, I like to use XSplit. You're running that's taking CPU cycles, and of course you got to have and so does your game. And you got to look at what kind of frame rate you're putting out. You got to look at your resolution, how much resolution, how much frame. Do you have to put out an HD video? I like to put out a 720p video because I find that I end up with a good recording. I know that's not the highest quality recording you're going to get. I know in the future people are going to start streaming their stuff at 4K, but you have to be realistic. You got to look at your bandwidth, not what you're getting down, what your bandwidth going up. I got 10 megabits going up. I can push a 720. I can push a 720p stream through 10 megabits up fairly easily. And as far as CPU goes, I got a fairly capable CPU cycle. You can't just look at your bandwidth and say, oh, I got a really super good video card. What kind of processor have you got? Your camera's chewing up CPU. Like I said, your game is, your video, the software that you're using, your client that you're using to upload to YouTube, that's all burning cycles. And if you haven't got the processor to do that, it's not going to look very good. So, you do need to throw a certain amount of equipment. Now, if you don't have that kind of equipment, turn it down, dial it down until you get something you can use. Maybe you can't put something out at 720p or 1080p. Maybe look at your resolution. Crank it down till you can put out a half decent product that's not stuttering. I mean, I use a little laptop that I have here to my left, and it monitors my video stream. And it says it's in the green. It says the stream health is extremely good. You can go by that metric alone. You can look at that and know whether you're got enough horsepower to put it out. Also, if you're using XSplit will do a test, and it can even put in the settings for you. Don't be afraid to tweak those settings. Same as your camera. Don't be afraid to take it off of automatic. We want to set for autofocus and white balance and everything, but depending on your lighting and depending on the quality of your green screen, you might have to get in there and tweak your camera settings. You got to experiment and play with it, and anybody can come up with a half decent looking stream, but that's important. Make it look decent, make it look watchable. If people are going to you want to attract an audience, you want to get people to watch, you got to produce a watchable product. If you sound crappy and if you look crappy, you might be the best Hearthstone player on the planet. Nobody's going to sit there and watch you play if your video is stuttering or if your audio balance is off or what have you. And I definitely recommend using the XSplit software. I don't get paid by them. I have no affiliation with them whatsoever. But out of all the stuff I've tried, I found that XSplit does an excellent job of producing video. And again, these videos I made them for myself. I didn't make them for anybody else. I had my kid come over a few times. We made a couple of videos together. We had a lot of fun. And I think I've wrung the most out of this that I need to wring out of it. I tried playing. I would keep making the live stream videos every once in a while, and maybe I will. Maybe we'll as Gimped Jesus if my kid comes over and we want to spend an afternoon playing Hearthstone, for giggles and whatever. We'll set up a 2-camera shot and we'll play Hearthstone for a couple hours and see if anybody wants to watch. But as far as Gimped Jesus, he's going to move on to a different game. Something I like to play a little bit better. We'll see what that is. That's probably going to involve voice chat with other players, so I'm going to have to experiment with that for a few days to balance that out and get the production values right. I might have to throw up an extra screen. I'm reluctant to do that. Put up use 2 monitors and run XSplit on one monitor and run the game on the other. I'd rather just run XSplit in the background. If I need to change a setting, just call it up. But some video games just don't look good when you run them in a window. Hearthstone works really good in a window, so it's a good candidate for live streaming if you just want to use one monitor. I've got lots of monitors here. I've got a monitor on my left running a different computer. I got a brand new one sitting to my right that's not even plugged in or doing anything. I don't even know why it's there. You can use 2 monitors. I just prefer to use one really good monitor and just work with that. It's one less thing that I gotta, where you're taking your eyes off your camera, your screen. That's one thing. It'd be really nice if you get your camera lower, because it's important to look into your camera, like I'm doing now. I'm looking into my camera. But whenever we watch people doing live streams, we were seeing this. This is that's what we're seeing when we're watching live streams, and we're not seeing the person's face. And it'd be a nice way if there was some, if I can come up with a smoke and mirrors trick to kind of fix that, so that you can be paying attention to the game and not be. It's like you're looking at your dick or something. You're looking down like this, and that's not too good. Maybe the secret is getting the camera just further away, or maybe putting the camera off to a side. I don't know. I haven't played with camera angles. I probably start doing that again. Like I want to learn about live streaming. I want to figure out how it's done, and I want to be able to do it right. And whether I ever make something that people want to watch, that's secondary to the whole thing. I'm a hobbyist. That's my nature. I like to learn new things, and I learned, like I said, I learned how to do the live streaming, and I learned the mechanics of Hearthstone. I can now play Hearthstone. Am I ever going to be a great Hearthstone player? Ain't going to happen. And one of the reasons is I don't really have a passion for that game. I like shooters. I grew up with video games. My kids grew up with video games. I had they talk about Pong. I was playing games with a TRS-80 Model 1. We were playing games on computers when other kids were hooking up consoles and playing Pong. We were writing our own games on these antiques. Some of them that I still have, since somewhere in my mother's basement. There's a TRS-80 Model 1. From Radio Shack. We had every console. I've owned every console, probably starting with the Atari, going right up through all of them. The only one I don't have right now, I did not go out and buy a PlayStation 4. I bought an Xbox One, and I bought the Wii U. I don't know why I haven't bought a PlayStation 4 yet. I haven't found a compelling reason. Maybe with their virtual reality glasses coming out. I found I have two sons that own PlayStation 4s, and I found that most of the games I want to play, the type of games I play, are on the Xbox. One of my kids does use an Xbox, and we play a lot of similar games together, and we play in teams. So, and a lot of other people I know, they're on the Xbox. I guess you go where your friends are. Maybe I'll get a PlayStation 4, like I said, when they come out with their virtual reality glasses. Kind of looking forward to VR. I'll probably put VR on. I'll let the dust settle a little bit and see where that goes before I buy one for my rig here. I don't know if I'm hot on VR or not. I mean, it's coming. I do think what is big is this streaming. I think it's going to be a bigger and bigger part of the entertainment field. I do think it's going to go to YouTube. I know it had its roots going back to Justin TV, Ustream, Twitch. I know Facebook's getting in the game now. I think, when the internet thinks about social media, it's still a lot about Facebook. You want to, share pictures with grandma, or you want, you want to see what your kids are up to. That's what Facebook is for. I do think YouTube is the TV of the internet, and although a lot of people are streaming on Twitch and things, I think a lot of stuff's going to move over, especially for the small-time guy. If you're just starting out, streaming and you're making videos, I think YouTube's the way to go. I mean, you don't have to have ads. You don't have to put up with commercials. You don't have to buy a commercial account. If you ever do get popular, or if a lot of people are watching, you can choose to monetize your channel and share in that monetization. But if you just want, if you're just kicking out a show and on a good day when I did my Hearthstone broadcast, I'd have four guys watching. Well, you're not going to make any money, and you're not going to be able to monetize on, having an audience of 4. You got to ask yourself, why am I live streaming? What's the reason for it? And my reason was live streaming for my own edification. I think it's fun. I think more and more people should do it. You got a chat window going on beside you. It's a good way to communicate with people. You get to know people. it's mostly unscripted, and I really like that. I like the fact that when you watch it live and people are kicking out there, they're not reading from a script or they're just doing it off the top of their head, and that makes it fun. You know, you can get someone else over. You can have two people. You can be live streaming at the same time. You know, it's another form of entertainment. I think it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think that form of entertainment is going to happen in the YouTube space. You know, and I encourage people to do it. I mean, if you're playing video games anyway, you know, you don't have to put your own face up there. You can live stream, just live stream the game. You don't have to put your own picture in there. You know, you don't even have to make any commentary really if you don't want to, although I don't see the point in doing that. But, you know, let people get to know you, meet some people. You know, this is you know, this is the way it's going to be. This is how we're going to meet more and more people from around the world. And what better way to get to know someone than sit down and watch them play a video game, talk to them, ask them a few questions, you know, see what they're up to. That's one of the reasons they're live streaming. Everybody's live streaming has got a monitor, it's got some sort of monitor off to their left, and they've got a chat going. And, you know, and they're quite eager for some feedback, you know, constructive feedback. Some people even like the trolls. Who cares? You know, at least they're getting some reaction out of people for their video efforts. So, you know, like I said, I encourage people to do it. Again, Gimped Jesus is now out of the Hearthstone business, but definitely going to get into something else, and he'll definitely be streaming it, and not caring whether anybody actually watches it or not. You know, down the road, like I said, I'm going to watch these videos, and I'm going to get a good chuckle, get a good laugh out of them. My kids will. Maybe when I'm dead and gone, they'll use a few clips from it in my eulogy. Who knows? But I kind of like this better than, you know, collecting pictures in a photo album or whatever. You know, let's face it, it's the 21st century, so let's do 21st century things. So anyway, that's my little talk and my reasoning for getting out of Hearthstone. But do look for me in other spaces. I'm going to keep the Gimped Jesus channel, and I'm going to keep the Gimped Jesus brand, but Gimped Jesus will not be playing Hearthstone not on a regular basis anyway. Maybe when someone, like I said, when my kid comes over or something, we'll do it for nostalgia and a little bit of fun. But Hearthstone is, for me, I think my Hearthstone journey has come to an end. So anybody who did watch, or anyone who sees this, is watching this in the future, thanks for doing so, and look for me in the not too distant future.